What would you do if you had $30 million waiting for you, but the only way to get that money was to convince the entire world that your husband was dead? Now imagine something even crazier. What if your husband had already planned the same thing? And what if, while you were secretly planning to kill him, he was secretly planning to destroy you first? That is the twisted and dangerous world of Just Play Dead, 2026, a crime thriller that takes the familiar ingredients of money, marriage, betrayal, murder, and insurance fraud and turns them into a deadly game of psychological manipulation. Directed by Martin Campbell, the filmmaker behind several high-profile action and thriller projects, the movie stars Samuel L. Jackson as Jack Wolfe and Eva Green as Nora Wolfe, with Jason Fernández, Maria Pedraza, and Owen Macken also appearing in important roles. And judging from the story and trailer setup, this isn't a simple murder mystery where you just sit back and wait to discover the killer. This is a movie where everyone has a plan, and every plan has another plan hiding underneath it. The story begins with Jack Wolfe, a wealthy criminal mastermind who has spent years building a fortune through illegal activities. But Jack's world is beginning to collapse. The feds are closing in, and the walls are getting tighter around him. He knows that sooner or later the authorities may finally catch him. So Jack starts thinking outside the box. He realizes something very simple. You can't arrest a dead man. And that's when he comes up with a seemingly brilliant idea. Jack will fake his own death. Once everyone believes he is dead, the authorities will stop looking for him in the same way. His wife, Nora, can appear to be the grieving widow, and a massive $30 million life insurance payout can potentially become available. On paper, it's almost perfect. Jack disappears, Nora collects the money, and Jack eventually gets to walk away with his fortune and freedom. But Jack knows there is one major problem. A fake death requires people to keep secrets, and the more people involved in a criminal plan, the greater the possibility of betrayal. So Jack creates another part of the plan. He wants to make sure that if anything goes wrong, someone else takes the blame. That person is Chad, Nora's surfer lover. Jack intends to make Chad look responsible, and that's where this already complicated story becomes much more dangerous. Jack may believe he controls everything, but he has badly underestimated his wife. Nora has spent years living under Jack's ruthless control. Their marriage may look wealthy and glamorous from the outside, but behind closed doors, things are very different. Nora feels trapped. She wants freedom, she wants the money, and most importantly, she wants Jack gone. So while Jack is preparing to fake his death, Nora is secretly considering something much more permanent. Why fake Jack's death when she can simply kill him for real? Her plan is almost as straightforward. Jack dies, Chad gets blamed, Nora gets the fortune, and she finally gets the freedom she has been dreaming about. For Nora, this isn't simply about money. It's about escaping the man who has controlled her life. But there is one problem. Jack is not stupid. This is where Samuel L. Jackson's character becomes particularly interesting. Jack isn't some helpless millionaire waiting to be attacked. He's a criminal mastermind. He understands manipulation, he understands fear, and he understands people. So when Jack begins to suspect that Nora and Chad might be planning something behind his back, he doesn't simply confront them. Instead, he sets a trap. Jack begins manipulating the situation from behind the scenes. He creates suspicion, he plants doubt, he turns people against one another, and slowly, the people involved in the plan start questioning who they can actually trust. This is the heart of Just Play Dead, because the movie isn't simply asking who will kill Jack, it's asking who is manipulating whom. Then we have Chad, Nora's lover. At first, Chad appears to be the outsider in this dangerous marriage. He isn't a criminal mastermind like Jack. He doesn't seem to have the same experience with deception, but suddenly, he's standing in the middle of a situation where one wrong decision could completely destroy his life. Imagine discovering that the woman you're having an affair with wants to kill her husband, and then realizing that her husband may be planning to frame you for his own death. That's the nightmare Chad finds himself trapped inside. He can't simply walk away, because once the evidence starts pointing toward him, his freedom and possibly his life could be at risk, and that's exactly what makes the situation so unpredictable. Chad has to decide whether he can trust Nora, but can Nora be trusted? And even more importantly, can either of them survive Jack's game? One of the most interesting elements of the story is the money. $30 million is enough to completely change someone's life, and that's exactly why everyone becomes dangerous. At first, the money looks like an escape. For Nora, it represents freedom. For Jack, it represents a way to disappear with his wealth. For others, it becomes a temptation. And once that much money is involved, loyalty becomes extremely fragile. People who once trusted each other begin asking questions. Who gets the money? Who gets arrested? Who is lying? Who is being framed? And who will be left alive when everything is over? The more the characters try to protect themselves, the deeper they fall into the trap. What makes this setup so exciting is that Jack isn't simply fighting with weapons. His biggest weapon is information. He knows people's weaknesses. He understands their relationships. He knows what they are afraid of, and he can use those fears against them. Nora, meanwhile, isn't willing to remain a victim forever. She begins fighting back, and Chad is forced to choose sides. This creates a dangerous three-way battle. Jack wants freedom. Nora wants freedom and money. Chad wants to survive. And none of those goals can comfortably exist together. As the story progresses, the carefully constructed plans begin to collapse. Evidence starts appearing. Secrets begin coming out. People start realizing that they may have been manipulated, and the characters have to make increasingly desperate decisions. One of the most dangerous aspects of the story is that a plan that initially looks completely controlled can quickly become impossible to manage. That's the problem with deception. Once you tell one lie, you need another lie to protect it, then another, and eventually the entire structure can collapse. That's exactly what seems to happen here. The title "Just Play Dead" itself becomes increasingly appropriate, because death in this story isn't necessarily what it appears to be. Someone can be alive while everyone thinks they're dead. Someone can be innocent while the evidence makes them look guilty. Someone can appear to be an ally while secretly planning your downfall, and someone you think you've defeated may already have another move prepared. That's why the movie feels less like a straightforward crime story and more like a psychological chess match. Every character is trying to anticipate everyone else's next move, and the person who makes one wrong decision could lose everything. One of the biggest reasons to watch this movie is obviously Samuel L. Jackson. Jackson has spent decades playing characters who can command a scene simply through their presence, and Jack Wolfe appears to be another character built around that intimidating personality. Jack isn't necessarily the loudest person in the room. He doesn't need to be. The danger comes from knowing that he's constantly thinking. When everyone else is reacting, Jack is calculating, and that's what makes him frightening. You never know whether he's genuinely surprised by something or whether he secretly expected it to happen. Then there's Eva Green, playing Nora. Nora is arguably the emotional center of the story. She's trapped inside a toxic relationship, but she refuses to remain powerless. Her character has to balance fear, anger, desperation, and ambition. And the most interesting question surrounding Nora is whether she's actually trying to escape Jack, or whether she's slowly becoming just as ruthless as him. Because once someone decides that murder is the solution, there is no easy way back. And then everything appears to explode toward the film's major confrontation. The yacht showdown becomes the perfect location for the final stage of this deadly game. Beautiful surroundings, massive wealth, no easy escape, and multiple people with completely different agendas. By this point, the audience has already seen lies, betrayals, manipulation, and attempted framing. So when the characters finally come face to face, the tension becomes much more explosive. The question is no longer about who has the better plan, it's about who can survive when all the plans collapse at once. The movie was filmed largely around the Canary Islands, which gives the story an interesting visual contrast. On one side, you have beautiful coastal locations, luxurious surroundings, yachts, beaches, and wealthy characters. On the other side, you have murder, betrayal, criminal schemes, and psychological warfare. That contrast can make a thriller much more effective. Everything looks beautiful, while everyone is secretly trying to destroy everyone else. If you enjoy movies where the story constantly asks you to reconsider what you just saw, Just Play Dead has a very appealing setup. It's not just about a criminal escaping the law. It's about a husband trying to outsmart his wife, a wife trying to outsmart her husband, a lover caught in the middle, a huge insurance payout, a murder that may or may not be real, and a criminal mastermind who refuses to let anyone control the game except himself. The biggest attraction is that there doesn't seem to be a completely trustworthy character, and when nobody can be trusted, every conversation becomes suspicious, every piece of evidence becomes questionable, and every character's next move becomes unpredictable. Overall, Just Play Dead 2026 looks like a stylish crime thriller built around one deliciously dark question. What happens when everyone wants the same fortune, but only one person can walk away with it? With Samuel L. Jackson, Eva Green, Maria Pedraza, Owen Macken, and Jason Fernández, the movie has an intriguing cast, while the story combines crime, insurance fraud, murder, betrayal, romance, manipulation, and psychological mind games. And if the trailer is going to be anything, this isn't going to be a simple case of finding the killer. Because here, the killer might be trying to become the victim, and the victim might already be planning the killer's funeral. The film is listed with a runtime of approximately 104 minutes, with its release information indicating a theatrical run followed by on-demand availability. So if you're a fan of twisty crime thrillers, murder mysteries, dark relationship dramas, revenge stories, and movies where the person you trust could be the person who destroys you, keep Just Play Dead on your watch list. Because remember the golden rule of this movie: 3 people can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead. So, what do you think? Will Jack Wolfe successfully fake his death and escape with his fortune? Will Nora finally outsmart her husband? Or will Chad become the ultimate victim of their deadly game? Let us know your prediction in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this detailed movie update, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to CheezeDrama for more upcoming movie updates, trailers, explanations, reviews, release news, and Hollywood thrillers. Until the next movie update, stay safe, and remember, in a game where everyone is lying, the smartest person isn't always the winner. Sometimes it's simply the last person left alive.